It's been several weeks since ASIC lifted its interim stop orders on several Trobe Financial products. This morning, I sat down with Chief Executive Chris Andrews to reflect on this experience, investor confidence and improved inflows.
So it's a good time at La Trobe, Ed. So our inflows are running ahead of where they were at this time last year, and last year was a record, which tells you that investors are really comfortable with the offerings we're bringing to market. But we really mark ourselves more on the performance we're delivering for those investors. We're not chasing growth for growth's sake. So, you know, portfolios are performing really well. Investors are getting the same low volatility income returns that we've been generating for them for decades. So things are really strong, and we're looking forward to a good run into Christmas now. Can't believe we're saying that, Ed, but it's a good run into Christmas.
Christmas is so close. What have been some of the key learnings from you and the management team from this recent experience?
Our position has always been, Ed, we are a regulated entity. We're here to respond when regulators have queries, if they have issues they want to agitate the market. For us, if it's good for investors, it's good for us as a business, and it's good for Australia as a whole. So all we need to do is keep listening, keep working constructively with the regulator whenever they raise issues, and that'll happen at a time and place of their choosing, and we're perfectly comfortable with that.
Yeah, just talk about why transparency is so important in this field.
So in all fields of investment, the fundamental question an investor needs to be asking themselves is, do they understand what they're investing in? Now, we have lent into transparency over really the last 30 years as we've been doing retail asset management, Ed. What we want to know is that every single investor coming into our business deeply understands what they are investing in. And I think we've set the bar pretty high there. So when ASIC's talking about transparency, we want to embrace that, and we want to amplify that, and we want that to be played out across the entire asset management industry, across all asset classes. So that's something we feel a lot of conviction about.
And your investors are very educated individuals, aren't they, that take a great interest in what they're investing in?
We do have a wonderful investor base, Ed, and there are lots of questions always, lots of engagement. We love bringing them into the office. We deal with over 5,000 advisors across the country too, so our team's always busy with questions on how portfolios are performing, our asset selection process, our liquidity management framework. All of those issues are grist to the mill for our investor team, and I'd always encourage any investor with any question to call the team and talk to them.
And just explain how important it is for regulators to have oversight over financial markets more broadly.
Come back to this same principle. If a regulator is doing their job properly, if they're focusing attention on all of the right issues, that's wonderful for investors, it's wonderful for investment managers like Trobe Financial, and it's wonderful for the economy as a whole. We're watching with some horror some of the recent disasters that we've seen in investment markets. That should have no place in a modern Australian financial services system. Obviously, all investment involves risk, but there are from time to time abuses that need to be stamped out, which is why, Ed, as I said before, we're happy to embrace any regulatory intervention whenever it occurs.
You mentioned inflows are higher this year compared to last year. What are your priorities now as we get closer towards Christmas?
Well, the fundamental priority for an investment manager always has to be delivering high quality investments, a sophisticated liquidity framework to support investors' access to their funds, and really high levels of transparency, and that's timeless. So it doesn't matter whether we're talking in October or January, Ed, you'll always get the same answer. That's what we've done for 30 years. That's why investors at La Trobe Financial are so happy with the returns we've been delivering for them.
And more broadly, what's your sense of Australia's economy, how things are tracking right now financially with GDP growth and things like that?
It's been sluggish, and this is a consistent problem across the entire Western world, and all of the right conversations are starting to happen. I mean, we all would have loved them to have happened a decade ago, Ed, but simplifying our overly complex taxation system, increasing productivity, rolling out AI. We're doing a lot of navel-gazing about AI, but there is so much scope for businesses actually to implement it across their business, improve their productivity, improve the services that we're delivering to our consumers, and produce more value in the economy. That's how we grow the pie for future generations. And if we're not focusing on growing the pie for future generations, we're not focused on the right things.
Well, you mentioned the pie and tax reform. The Treasurer's made some changes yesterday to his superannuation tax reforms after a lot of feedback from the industry. Do you think the changes are the right changes?
I think the changes are very sensible. The Treasurer's got it right here, Ed. I think that's absolutely clear. What has happened over the last 2 years, though, through the discussion of these proposals and others, is we've elevated the conversation about taxation reform. Think of this. There are about 30 taxes in Australia that amount to less than 2% of our revenue collection. That just makes no sense at all. We've got an excessively complex system. Costs of compliance with tax in Australia are estimated at $40 billion. Do we have a productivity agenda? There's a good place to start. Then there's our reliance on income tax. That has two problems. We've got a declining base of workers as a proportion of the overall population, which means each of these workers inevitably, if we don't make changes, will be asked to pay more. And the problem that creates, the second problem, is that makes us uncompetitive against the rest of the world. In Australia, we have a far higher reliance on income tax than anywhere else in the world. So we do need some really serious structural conversations about tax reform. And certainly here at the Trobe Financial, we welcome the fact that that discussion's starting to kick off in a really serious way.
Chris Andrews, Chief Executive of Trobe Financial, great to talk to you.
Thanks, Ed. Always good to be with you.